Welcome to Grit and Gravitas with Ann and Annie, bringing you savvy, spirited stories of success. We're excited to deliver 30 minutes of inspiration, impact, and goodness. We'll be bringing you guests and friends from around the country who have very special work and personal journeys. I'm Ann Deeter Gallaher, your co-host with Annie Carnathan, and this is Grit and Gravitas. Let's go!
Could anything be better, Annie Carnathan, than talking about money, talking about food, and being here with two incredible women?
And we're on the road!
We're on the road.
Yes!
Ladies, welcome to Grit and Gravitas on the road. So we're kind of a road show is what we're doing.
At the Bagel Boutique.
Yes. And so we have Jacquie Ferentinos, owner of Bagel Boutique, and I'm going to say serial entrepreneur.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Agree.
And we have Brenna Anderson, VP of Relationship Management at Members First Federal Credit Union. So I'm kind of loving the vibe here. I'm going to be distracted a little bit, Jacquie, by the food, the smells. And I'm just going to confess, yesterday I came here on research.
Oh, yeah.
to get some bagels, and our family absolutely loved them. So thank you for that. Annie, this is incredible. We're going to talk entrepreneurship. And a little fun fact.
My favorite thing.
Fun fact on my way here. Do you know a new small business opens every 6 seconds in the United States?
Did not.
So we're sitting here with some...
It's the heartbeat of America.
Yes.
Yes.
33 million. I don't know how many are women-owned, Jacquie, but tell us a little bit about the backstory of Bagel Boutique, because you're relatively new.
Yeah, less than a year opened. My husband and I have owned and operated restaurants within the area and out of state since 2010.
So food is it for you guys.
Food is it. Yeah, I mean, we both grew up in the business, went away to college, swore we would never do it. But it's kind of like, you know, it's in our blood and we truly enjoy it. We both complement each other really well. So he's more back of house, I'm front of house. But Bagel Boutique was born because we kind of are always scoping out places and researching, you know, what would be good in the area as far as what's trending.
Nice.
And we don't live far from here, so we always saw this building and we were like, wow, what a great location. And it's kind of our thing. We go into places that have either gone out of business or need a serious renovation, and we go in, we completely gut it, renovate it, and put in a new concept. So here, because of the location and the amount of traffic, we thought it would be great for a grab and go type situation.
Nice.
And because my husband is from New York and bagels were kind of our thing, and we more than not have done breakfast restaurants, we were like, hey, let's do New York bagels.
Wow. So how hard is it to just wake up one day and say, hey, let's do New York bagels?
Well, I can tell you New York bagels are not easy by any means.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, of all the restaurants we've done, I would say this was our hardest one to get up and running, because although we went to New York, you know, from the supplier where we buy our dough, and we mimicked exactly how they did things, at the end of the day, the environment here is different. You know, the weather, you know, kind of affects your dough.
Oh, wow.
Water, you know, things. But so the first couple of weeks were a big learning
Sort of
time for
trial
us.
and error.
Trial and error, yeah.
But it didn't scare you off.
No, I mean, it was a little rough, but we've done well. And now, you know, we always say, like, people say, what makes you guys so successful? And I would always say it's the consistency. Yeah.
I asked Brenna my perception, because it's a tremendous location, you know, the curb appeal, but I felt like nothing could ever be successful here. My perception was, it just kept changing everything. This is such a great, great location, but as you're describing it, it's a lot more than that. And so when someone walks in the door, Jacquie, if you could capture the essence of your restaurant, what is it? What's the it, right? What's the secret sauce?
I would say there's three parts to having a successful restaurant. One, of course, is, as you said, the curb appeal, or just the vibe that you get when you walk through the doors. Another third of it is the customer service. So when you walk in, we want to acknowledge you. We want you to understand that if you spend $1 or you spend $50, you know, we treat you the same. We value your business. And then, of course, the third is having really good food. We always say that we like to keep with the trends. And, you know, you had mentioned the curb appeal. So for weeks, you know, people just didn't understand what was kind of going in here. And once everything was changed on the outside, they were like, wow, that was really cool. And I will have to give credit to my husband who decided to paint the parking lot lines and curbs
I saw that.
Yeah, it was definitely a conversation starter, and it was one of the first things we did. So it kind of drew people into
It's kind of
what
like
was
the
going
director
on.
of first impressions. When you pull
Yeah.
up, you feel like this business has every detail covered.
Oh yeah,
Because if you
details
spend
are
that
important.
much time, you know, making that first impression out in the parking lot, you have to feel like this.
Yeah,
is,
and first impressions are everything. You know, you want to go and dine somewhere, and you want to spend your money where you feel appreciated. And knowing that, like, you know, for me, for example, I would like to dine at restaurants that I like the ambiance as well. So it's not just the food, you know, you want to enjoy your entire experience. But back to your point, you know, there are places, and this is a couple of places where we've gone into where people like we could just never imagine. It's because you truly have to break it down to the bare bones and spend the money and invest in what you're trying to sell.
just rebuild it yourself into
Rebuild
what
it.
you want.
Yeah.
Brenna, tell us a little bit, like Jacquie and her husband doing this, they can't do this alone. So every small business needs an incredible financial partner. And I know we just had Mike Wilson on. It was a big milestone for us because he was our first male guest, but he really has a heart for small business. So tell me about how you two met, and then what is you know, at the core of that relationship that you wanted to help Jacquie and her husband so much.
Yeah, when you say they couldn't do it alone, knowing these two, they probably could. The help of a financial institution probably helps a lot, yes, but the two of them, they probably could find a way to do it. But, you know, we met, I don't even know, 5-ish years ago, maybe, when Jacquie and her husband were operating another restaurant in the area. And
which was very successful.
Very successful. And the three things that she described, the ambiance, the location, the vibe that you feel, the customer service that I always received when I went in there, and the food could not have been better, right? So therefore I kept going back, and it was, hey, I remember you, and just really getting to know each other.
Oh, that's cool.
She started to joke with me the one day, and I feel like I visited so often. She said, I think I'm gonna get a little label right here for the end of the table and put your name reserved. So we just really just built a relationship. We had a lot in common. You know, Members First is really, really passionate about helping small businesses and being part of the story. And Jacquie and Steve always have such an incredible story. It's not just we opened a restaurant. The story of how they got there from start to finish is always just so wonderful. And we just really love to be a part of that stuff.
But kudos, Jacquie, for noticing Brenna. You know, I think that's also the heart of small businesses, that the owners, like Mike, knows the customers, knows the members.
Yes.
You never take your eyes off of the people that you're serving.
And that was them, you know,
Yeah.
even at the owner level, you know, Jacquie was dropping off food and saying hello to everybody. There was always a thank you when you, or a hello
that's
when you
cool.
walked in the door, and a thank you when you left. And it really are those little things that really makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree that, you know, it's the small details. I would think not just in any business, but even as a banker, you know, she has connected me with other people within side of Members First. And for example, if I go to the local branch, you know, the manager comes out, she greets me, she literally gets up out of her office. It's those small things that really build relationships. And so as a person that is depending on a bank, you want to know that you have people that are willing and, you know, want to get to know you and take those extra steps. You know, if I call and I'm like, hey, there's this issue, I have someone calling me back within minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
My guess is you could text
We
Brenna.
text a lot.
To be
And
completely honest,
that really is a relationship.
she's my go-to. Yeah. But it truly, you know, when we had opened our other restaurant, Members First was in the process of building their new headquarters.
Right.
And so while we were very happy with the previous bank that we had used for many, many years and for probably 4 or 5 of our other restaurants, you know, we saw that they were coming in consistently every single day and giving us business. And never once was there any type of pressure or push to bank with Members First or open accounts or anything like that. At one point, Brenna's son, the more we got to know them, you know, he has an allergy. So like there were times where I'd be like, you know, keeping in mind, and she was like, wow, like you remembered that. And then he ended up working for us.
That's
so,
service.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
really
it truly
service.
goes beyond just the, you know, banking or providing food. I mean, you really want to work with people that you establish relationships with.
And that's the key word, our relationships. And I walked in and met Brenna, and then I met you, Jackie, and there's just EQ bursting through both of you. You know, the emotional part of chemistry and building that and letting that evolve naturally. Mm-hmm. And of course, I was like, Brenna, how did this happen with Jackie? Like this, wow, right? And that is what I want to see unfold, to learn from, because it has to be organic on a lot of levels. And so many financial businesses are transactional. And you can see through that, you know, immediately. And so the organic part of that, what every single person talks about at Members First, and if you walk into a branch, you feel it. Walked in here, I feel it, you feel it. And so that's what I think is not the risky part, because you're at enormous risk. They're at enormous risk, right? But it's that coming together, and it takes one person to believe in you organically.
Yeah, I mean, even as, you know, now let's say a client of Members First, I could have chosen any bank.
Right.
I truly want to bank where I feel valued. So I provide service to customers where I want them to feel like their money is valued when we provide a service, but I also want the same feeling as a customer. So I definitely got that. And, you know, Brenna was really the starter of all of that. And it just, like you said, it just developed
happened.
organically as a customer and, you know, a restaurant owner.
She talked about you initially when I'm talking about the relationship and you make her feel special and vice versa.
Yeah.
And you cannot manufacture that
Yep.
in business.
And it's always word of mouth. I mean, I've sent so many people, I'm like, if you need anything, Brenna. And she's done the same. So,
Yeah.
you know, with caterings,
Yep.
with,
Random text message. Hey,
Yeah.
Jackie asked me, you know, said reach out to you, and this is what I need help with. And yeah, we just take it from there. It's just like you said, it's all about the relationship.
100%.
Yep.
The trust to sort of let go and have someone be something you're not, and amplify that superpower. And that's really a team.
Yep.
And
It tells the story of the 75 years with Members First. I mean, you think 75 years ago, all that has changed in business to today. And I'm looking at you two, and that's really the story. That's that a credit union is able to lift up the small businesses, which is the foundation of the community.
Yes.
You know, we need our big, the big boxes or the Hershey's of the world, the Fortune 100s. But the local economy churns on the small business, and they're the ones supporting Little League, that's supporting everything. How many times do people come in, Jackie?
I never turn anybody away. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, but just like you said, you know, we have a huge focus on helping the small businesses, big, large. You know, we'll help anybody. Our philosophy is very similar to Jackie's. Whether you come in and spend $5 or whether you come in and spend $50, everyone that comes here and visits her restaurant is going to be treated the same way.
Yeah, right.
Same thing with the credit union. Every member we treat the same, with the, you know, the same sense of urgency and the same sense of care. You could have $5 with us, or you could have $500,000 with us, and you're still going to get the same level of service.
Yeah, that's pretty special.
the way I say that is, it's not the zeros, it's the heroes.
Yeah,
Because
I love
the
that.
better the relationship, the better that
The more
that,
zeros you're getting.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's the God honest part. Like you did brevity, so you got there more quickly than I could. But I think you always get more by giving.
Absolutely.
And when you can have that connection and that trust, and it's uncanny at Members First.
Yeah.
How every single person in that capacity has the same mantra.
And that's our culture.
Yeah.
You see it from inside. You see it when you're talking to Mike. You see it when you walk into a branch and you're talking to tellers. You're going to get that feeling everywhere you go. It is so much about connection. It's about relationship building. But like you said, the giving piece, it's so much of what we do is servant leadership. Both just giving back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jacquie, tell us a little bit, and this could be an entire, I'm sure, hour-long podcast. Talk a little bit about the setbacks and comebacks in starting. I mean, I can't imagine starting a food business.
Yeah,
I'm service-based, but food is...
And restaurants, COVID, right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
that was 2 seconds ago, it feels like.
So what made you guys just wake up and not let go of your dream and say, this is, Valley Bistro was such a success. You have many other businesses. Okay, today's the day we're going to open a bagel boutique.
So, everyone always asks me, like, how do you come up with these ideas or concepts? To be completely honest, my husband and I have this book of concepts that we do. And we always joke that if we didn't have kids, we'd probably have 10 restaurants, going at once.
So all your creative ideas are in, was it the Book of Dreams?
The Book of Dreams, sure, we can call it that. But, opening a business today is hard.
Yes.
But the restaurant business in and of itself, the turnover rate is insane. And the one thing I'm most proud of is that we have employees that have worked for us for years.
Wow.
We are able to retain them because we appreciate them and
Treat
we treat
them
them
right.
like family. So yes, we've dealt with, being a new business. We've dealt with people second guessing the location we choose, it's never going to make it. We've dealt with, every business has failed there previously. There's no way they're going to make it. And it's
Did that
kind of,
make you just want to say,
It said-
but we're
yeah.
going to make
Set the fire.
It
Watch
sets
me
the
now.
fire.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel that.
It's
that way.
it's also, a testament to who we are. My husband grew up, in North Jersey with immigrant parents. My father, my grandparents were immigrants. We just always grew up working hard. And for me, there is no option other than to be the best. I mean, you have to constantly research. You have to, sometimes I'm here till 2 and 3 in the morning. My husband's here at, 4 a.m. You just got to put it out there. I always tell my kids too, whether it's sports, academics, whatever you do, do not be happy with being basic. Always shoot to be the best. So if I open a restaurant and I want to be the best restaurant. If I open a bagel shop, I want to be the best bagel shop. And so that takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of work.
Drive and grit.
Yeah, drive and grit.
Huge
So,
hard work.
That's
Lots
a
of
business
hard work.
vitamin.
I mean,
There is no option. So whatever you do, whether it's bagel boutique, whether it's relationship management, whether it's media, whether it's
there's no
PR,
plan B.
be the very
This
best
will be,
that you can be.
yes.
A mediocrity, let's just hashtag say no to mediocrity.
there's a lot of that out there. That's
Yeah.
not special.
yeah,
Being
and
the
so,
best is.
Yeah, and even, with COVID, we had opened our previous restaurant a couple
Was that in
months
the middle of
prior.
COVID or- oh.
Yeah, and we're like, here we are, a breakfast restaurant. So we're gonna go to doing takeout at night. Who is going to come to get breakfast? We were so busy. I
Wow.
mean, it was truly a moment, I would say, that we were like, wow, like we are appreciated. People
So
love
you
us.
probably felt
yeah.
the community love if
Yeah.
they were turning out like
I mean,
that.
the amount of people and sure, we had breakfast or lunch items as well, sandwiches and salads, but we were selling a lot of breakfast items and it was crazy. I mean, we didn't have a drive-through by any means, but we would see cars pulling up and we would be standing out the front door. I mean, it literally was just a very quick operation.
Curbside.
Yeah. Truly.
Yeah.
I mean, we had customers choosing to camp out in our parking lot and open their trunks and dine
Aw,
like on premise.
that's so sweet.
Yeah, it was truly, it was like, wow, it was awesome. We appreciated everything. And at that time, it was probably one of the scariest moments, but we made it and now we're
And
on
now
to the
you're
next.
moved on. And
Yeah.
Brenna, what would you say to a young entrepreneur that is so excited to start his or her business that might not have all their business plan down and they say, Jacquie referred me to you?
Yep.
What
would
would you say?
I would say, believe in yourself, take the risk, and I will help you every step of the way with all of your banking needs, is what I would say.
Hashtag, again, which I think I read this about you too, Jacquie, take the risk.
Yeah.
Take the risk.
We're so,
Risk
hesitant.
averse.
Yes. Things are crazy and we want assurance that we're going to succeed and everything is going to work out fine, which there's zero assurance of that, especially, when you're the business owner. But I love that. So to have a financial institution feel that way is pretty unusual. and good.
Yeah, and I will say from the risk perspective too, I took a huge risk. Annie and I were talking about that when she first got here. 18 years ago, I left the restaurant industry and took a huge risk coming into the banking world, and it was by far, 18 years later, the best decision I've ever made. But I also feel, you talked about Jacquie and I from the beginning. I think we also hit it off because I can relate to a lot of her struggles. Being in the restaurant industry for 12 years, I understand what she goes through, which was yet again just another connection piece, which helped us build our relationship.
Yeah, I would say, to kind of piggyback off of that, as someone who takes these risks often, my family have had the same restaurants for 60 some years, and they always kind of.
So it's a legacy in your
family.
And
they kind of are like, why are you guys, we could never do that. We would be so afraid. I don't know. It's just, it's kind of the one thing that drives us a little bit. But I would say, to add on to that, not only take the risk, but it's truly about establishing relationships. So establishing relationships with your banker, with your customers, it's all about presenting yourself a certain way, because you're not going to want to frequent or give your money to a place that you don't feel you're appreciated.
Right.
So I would say truly about relationships.
I think what's interesting, because to me, humans always need to connect with humans. And, with the hybrid office, I think, the younger generation, I struggle with that, right? Because they're not really as centric to this and meeting and gathering, and over food is one of the most basic humankind aspects, breaking bread, being together for a meal, and COVID really profoundly put an exclamation point on that. And you talk about that, Jacquie, for your customers. Is that fulfilling for you? That people are gathering and meeting together and connecting?
Yeah, absolutely. When, we do a lot of catering as well. So we have been a part of some major milestones in people's lives,
That's
whether
special.
it's, weddings, baptisms, office meetings, baby showers.
Birthdays.
The fact that, and again, if you're saying, our previous restaurant, which is where our catering really took off, I'm going to go to a breakfast and lunch restaurant to cater, to have, them cater. It's kind of, people might be like, but we have really been a part of some major milestones in people's lives. And all I can say is the fact that we were chosen for that is such an honor. We've dealt with.
It's a great way to look at that.
Yeah, it's such
It really is.
It's so, no matter what happens, any milestone, any celebration, a funeral even, you're really connecting over food. At our previous restaurant, we were right across from a hospital. We had people that would travel sometimes 2 and 3 hours to see a specialist, and we became their weekly stop. We've had customers who their parents had passed away, and we would send, without even being asked, we would, provide food to them in the hospital. We would send stuff to the nurses. It was truly about relationships. And being a part of those milestones, just that, it shows us that, one, we're doing good at what we do, and two, we've, created that bond with people where they choose us and our food.
What an authentic respite across from a hospital where people sometimes aren't getting very uplifting news.
I ran over to Valley Bistro when my husband was having surgery at the hospital. I could have stayed there, and I thought, no, I just need, I need something nourishing, honest to God. This is before I ever knew who owned it. I needed a good cup of coffee. That's all that I'm about. I needed, that to me was just like, okay, things will be okay. And that's a food.
Cocoon, a safe haven. That's what you feel when you walk in here.
Right. Food does that. Breaks down
and it's
barriers.
not just, hi, how are you? What's your order? It's, there were women who received cancer diagnosis, and I would see, and I said, how are you today? And it just became a thing where, yes, they chose to come and dine with us, or the husband would come over and get takeout, and I would leave a little message like, you're strong, you're gonna get through this.
Wow.
I can't even tell you how many times I would sit there with them and just listen to them. And I didn't have to, but I wanted to. I yes, it's a transaction, and yes, you're coming in and supporting our business, but I truly care about you. Like I want to know how your day is going. And
You can feel that authentic part of you and Brenna immediately.
So how challenging is it balancing a family and doing the restaurant business?
well, how long do we have?
Restaurants are long hours.
They're
But clearly
long
didn't
hours.
stop you and your husband.
Yeah, I mean, we like I said, we opened our first when I found out I was pregnant with my first daughter. And then we had opened another restaurant out of state, and my husband was kind of the one running that. And when your kids are little, actually, it was a little bit easier being that like they didn't go anywhere, right?
You didn't have to drive them to
Yeah.
practices.
And so now our roles are a little different. I'm not in here as much as I would like to be. My husband really handles everything, but we're also, kind of split shifts. So because we always said like this restaurant or any future restaurants, we don't want it to affect our children's lives. And so does my husband get to go to all the sporting events and stuff like that? No. Do I get to be here every day like I want to be? No. But we've kind of divided and conquered. And so at the end of the day, our kids are the most important thing. And, years fly by. But, my oldest works in here when she can. They're all involved in sports. And so we don't want to miss out on those opportunities. But they're able to do these things at that level because our community supports us.
Well, and that's where relationships come in again, Jacquie. For the employees that you do have, to be able to look away and know that as much as is humanly possible, it's still the same restaurant.
Yeah.
That's kind of a wonderful opportunity that it's a family business. I mean,
Yeah.
they get to see mom and dad, the work ethic, and
Yeah.
they're all that you've modeled in here
Yeah.
is being passed to the next generation, which is the same thing. Members first, family. That's your tagline that you guys model too.
Absolutely.
And they're normalizing risk.
Right. Which I don't know that I'll ever be able to normalize it, but I'm more prone to say yes to risk.
You
than
did
I
it,
was.
ADG. You did it, girl.
So we are all about business vitamins, and we've called out a couple, but I actually wrote down some of yours that you guys shared. And Jacquie, you said better late than wrong. I love that. So in your decision making to open things, you obviously do your research, you think things through, you're not impulsive in that way, but nothing's going to deter you. Is that correct?
I would say that my husband is more the impulsive person. For example, this place here, he always talked about it, and then one day he's like, we're getting it. And I said,
Hello.
and now we both are very much like that, where we kind of live on the edge. But I think I walked in here and I cried. I mean, it required.
So you didn't see the vision?
Not initially, and then I literally just had to kind of sit in here, and it's where, and it's kind of, people always ask, who designs your restaurant? I do. It's me.
Oh, that's
but I
awesome.
literally need to just
Every
sit in here
hat.
and
You're
see.
wearing every hat.
Yeah. And so everything that we do it. We don't hide, my husband makes the food. If it's not made, we're buying the quality ingredients, but, our hands are in every part of this.
And I guess it's a total immersion, and I'm sure with the family and probably extended family.
Yes.
Another one I read was dreams don't expire.
No.
And I see this on the wall here, dreams do come true. So you really get from your dream book. I think I have to have a dream book now. I've got to write all these ideas down.
Already working on mine.
Yeah.
I think as a woman, I went to college, I have my master's, I started off in a whole different career, but we balance a lot of things. We manage, we wear a lot of hats, especially women, right? And so you want to stay home and be able to raise your kids, but you also want to be a business, or you want to be successful in your career, whether it's being a business owner or not. So some of my ideas had to kind of be put on hold, but they're never not going to be in my vision to obtain at some point.
Good.
So it might not be always right away, but I'm going to get to them. Yeah.
It's not yet.
Not yet.
That's right.
Your priorities change a little bit. My kids are, like I said, very active, very involved, with school and, sports. So I might have a little, we're opening another restaurant too. So
We're going to have you back then.
Yes.
For another episode.
So I think we just thrive in chaos. We live for it.
Well, it doesn't look chaotic on the outside at all. And Brenna,
She hides it well.
I hide it well. I've gotten good at
Oh,
that.
good. I read one of yours that we are your people. And that's what Annie and I feel about Grit and Gravitas too, that we just, any young lady that aspires, either to jump into a career or to contribute, to learn, how do you get to the C-suite? How do you start a business? We feel like we're giving back by sharing all of these stories.
Definitely we're paying it forward.
Yeah.
And so are the both of you by sharing your stories.
But so you clearly felt you are Jacquie's people.
Yes, yeah. I like to refer to myself as her person. But yeah, just in the industry that I'm in, it is a very male-dominated industry. And I think that it's important as a woman to really just put myself out there and just get to know the local members of our community, get to know our business owners. You said earlier, we're not about transactions, right? We're about relationships. And we don't want to be viewed as just another financial institution. We want to be viewed as we are your people.
I love it.
Doubles back to Mike's always talk to strangers.
Yeah.
There's not a single person I meet that I'm not interested in talking to,
Yeah.
genuinely.
Everyone has a story, and
Yes. And that's what we remember.
Yes.
And that's
Entirely
what,
fascinating.
Jacquie and Brenna, our listeners are gonna remember, first of all, they're gonna come to Bagel Boutique and do their research like I did.
I'm pretty sure tomorrow morning.
I know.
An appointment on the Pike. I mean, now it's going to call to me. I'm going to hear my name going by.
So we're going to end with one of I think it was your final business vitamin, which I love. And it applies to us too. Do it scared, do it messy, but do it.
Woo!
That
is
actually
really
what
good
we
one.
did, Annie. Do it scared.
Just
We didn't know
dove right
anything
in.
about a podcast. Do it anyway.
I mean, what is there to lose?
That's it.
It's life's too short. Take the chance. Eat the cake. Eat the bagel.
Yes.
Everything.
Get the schmear.
Get
in
the
there.
schmear.
Yeah, I
get
loved
double
it.
schmear. Whatever it is. Enjoy your life. Take the risk. Take the chance. It will always pay off. It's scary, but if you have the right mindset, you have the right relationships, you have
the right people
that support you, you'll be okay.
Yep. Invest in yourself, invest in the people, share the story.
Yep.
That's what it's about.
I love it. I love it. I firmly believe we've just inspired a whole bunch of
What
new
a joyful,
entrepreneurs.
this has given so
I know
much
it.
back to us through meeting the most incredible people in the world. I mean, just in my lifetime. It's
more
just
in the
been-
tribe. There's more in the tribe.
Yeah, it's just, and the joy that this fills me with, not only for being with you, but for what it does for the people listening to this. So
Absolutely.
it doesn't happen without you taking your time.
Well, we thank you because
Yes,
you're
thank you.
also doing something amazing for business owners, and
We're sharing your
Yeah,
story.
sharing
Getting it out
stories.
there one bagel at a time.
One bagel at a time.
And one visit or one cup of coffee at a time.
But there's also a sweet glazed salmon salad. So can I just
yeah.
tell
It
you
is. It's
that-
more than we could continue
Yes,
the
I
podcast.
know.
It's more than bagels.
yeah,
Yeah.
bagel, but we have amazing sandwiches
Ama-
and lunch, and now we're partnered with delivery. I mean, it's just a different, it's
and
not
it's
just bagels.
fresh. It's
fresh.
Yeah.
like
I
just
love that too.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, could go on. It's been a long time since lunch.
Yes.
Just saying.
Well, why don't we film back behind the counter? Let's
We
roll
need
up our
B-roll. We need
sleeves
B-roll.
and
Maybe
get
some
right in
samples.
there.
tasting tour.
Yes.
Jacquie and Brenna, thank you so much for sharing your
Thank
story.
you.
Thank you.
Honestly, I'm even more intrigued and excited to learn more, taste more things here. We hope all of our fans come to Bagel Boutique, stop in at Members First, and tune in to Grit and Gravitas.
You'll make
How's that?
friends.
Yes.
Have a high gear day, everybody. Thank you so
Thank
much.
Thank you so
ladies.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening. It's our desire that these stories will bring energy, ideas, and fresh thinking that you can use today. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Instagram, and have a high gear day.